This is my Week 6 presentation on media and articles. This week's article focused on leaders in education and the future that they are leading us towards. I want to warn you that tonight I've been experimenting with new settings for my presentations, so my slideshows are a little bit all over the place and kind of crazy. But bear with me, next week I will be a little more organized and will hopefully have some kind of theme. Ooh. For the video clip, I watched a YouTube video of Hillary Clinton's address to Congress regarding the Education Reconciliation Act. I counted about 5 minutes of real educational insight out of this 16-minute video, but the part that she did address about the actual act was really interesting. Senator Clinton highlighted 3 specific areas of the Education Reconciliation Act that would benefit education. The first was Pell Grant reconstructions. It restructured the Pell Grant system by lowering the annual income it takes to qualify from $25,000 a year to $30,000 a year. It also increased the percentage of the amount that tuition that it covers. Secondly, the act introduces the Students' Borrower's Bill of Rights. This bill protects students from outrageous interest rates by capping them at 15%. The hope is that this will significantly lower the amount of debt for the student. And finally, the Act offers a loan forgiveness program similar to the National Defense Education Act of the 1960s. This forgiveness program will forgive debt after a career of public service for 10 years. This encourages students to enter important career fields such as teaching and the police force, as well as makes student loan debt more manageable. This is Sarah Martinez Tucker. The first thing that struck me about this picture, on a side note, was how much she looks like Sophia Loren. Ooh, isn't that a cool trick? Alright, back to business. Sarah Martinez Tucker is the current U.S. Secretary for Education. She comes from a corporate background at AT&T, where she was elected one of Time magazine's most successful Latino women for her efforts. From this perspective, she brings a very structured and strategic approach to education, which is really necessary at this point in time. Her primary responsibility as the Secretary for Education is to apply and enforce the recommendations of the Spellings Report. In the interview for the article I read in InsideHigherEducation.com, she says that out of all the recommendations from the Spellings Report, her #1 priority is to make education affordable for all students. Like Senator Clinton, she feels that the cost of education today is draining our economy by creating a generation of students with significant amounts of debt before they even take on their first job. She too believes that the key to a stable environment is a solid middle class, which is driven by the accessibility of higher education. This week we focused on higher education leaders and the ideas that they are pushing for to change the field of education. I find it interesting that both of these successful businesswomen agree that making education affordable is more than just a fix for the higher education system, but rather it will have a direct, significant impact on the rebirth of the middle class. This really puts the role and responsibilities of higher education institutions in the spotlight. This relates sort of peripherally to my capstone project. The nature of the internship is, of course, to further your educational experience, but in reality, the reality is that students who take on an internship are making 2 very distinct choices. First, will they intern for free, or do they need to hold out for a paid internship? And secondly, if they can't get the paid internship, do they scrap the experience for a regular paying job to help offset the expense of going to college today? I think that this is something that I will ask students about during my interview process, as I'm curious about this myself. Another thing that I learned this week from my readings was that leaders take action. Senator Clinton took action for higher education by stepping out onto the floor of the Senate. Secretary Tucker took action by stepping up to the plate and jumping in where the Spellings Report left off. Without taking action, ideas and criticisms will remain just thoughts or essays or lectures or even capstone projects. Only when action is taken do they really take shape as an actual possibility.